the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission says it has no plans to hike electricity tariffs for now, at least not before an engagement with the public. The chairman of the commission, Professor James Momoh, told a gathering of journalists that the review of the multi-year tariff order does not mean an immediate increase in tariff for electricity consumers. A federal government statement on NERC's website approved the immediate review of electricity tariffs across the country. Professor Momoh also talked about the commission regulating estimated billing by electricity distribution companies who fail to provide meters for their customers.
There is no immediate increase in tariff for customers. Number two, write it carefully. The proposed tariff review, okay, is what we are mandated to do as a regulator. We have to do it twice a year. We've done the first one around June. January is here, thank God. That is when we have no other option but to do our job. And don't take us for granted, we must do our job. We have done the review and it's subject to public consultation. In the next 3 months, Dr. Arabi, the entire commissioners, and myself will be running from place to place to inform you, to engage you, just like we've done our job for consultation. So number two, I said there will be consultation. We have done our review. We have given a report card of what we saw based on all the indices for doing a review. It's like going for an exam. We took our exam. We put in all the topics in the exam, and we said, this is the score. We've done our job. We have not said it is binding tomorrow morning. We said we are going to now do the second thing, do consultation, period. The other is simply a communication of what we have done as a regulator, looking at what it takes to increase or decrease tariff. If at the end of our meeting back and forth, we said no increase, no increase. There is going to be increase, it will be based on our engagement at the public forum.
Now, Labour has weighed in on the matter. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, they have some suggestions for the federal government on the way forward. The president, Mr. Ayuba Waba, wants the federal government to revisit the electricity privatization agreement and allow states, individuals, corporate organizations to generate and also distribute electricity independent of the national grid. Mr. Waba mentioned this while speaking on the position of organized Labour on the federal government's proposed electricity tariff adjustment.
Many of our industries are going to close. Many of them run on generators. And with this tariff, certainly they will have to close down. And they cannot, it's not going to be competitive. Energy is a major facility to promote industrial growth, promote industrialization. Our industrialization is at its lowest ebb. And therefore, we must encourage industries to thrive. We must produce what we consume. How do we produce what we consume if we don't have power? That's the irony of it. And that's really a contradiction. And that to us is a big worry that we need to address. Labour is going to come out with a clear position of engaging NAREC. NAREC is soft on the consumers, is soft on the discos and the gencos, the operators, but they are hard on we, the consumers. It ought not to be so. They need to protect consumer interests. I remember the last forum we had with them. Everybody that spoke was against any tariff increase. So if there is engagement with the consumers, and at the end of the day, the position of the consumers is not considered. They only consider that of the gencos or the operators just for profit. I think is an unfortunate situation. And it's high time we look at the entire regulation about our power sector reform. State can be able to generate power and power their businesses. Individuals can be able to generate their power and power their businesses, because the current situation have tied down people where they need to now generate power, put into the national grid, and the situation is not working.
Well, let's get some perspectives on this matter and see what implication it has for the average Nigerian. I'm now being joined by Mr. Kunle Olubiyo. He's Executive Secretary, Power Consumers Network. He joins us from Abuja. Also, Dr. Joy Ogali, Executive Secretary, Power Generations Association of Nigeria. I'd like to thank you both for joining us at this time. I must ask, and this is starting with you, Mr. Olubiyo, as a representative of the Consumers Network, what's your overall assessment of power, especially electricity, today?
Thank you very much. For a point of correction, Kunle Kola Olubiyo, President, Nigerian Consumer Protection Network, and invariably I was a member of the Technical Investigative Panel on Power System Collapses in 2013. Well, going to your question, there have been decline in generation capacity. Transmission capacity and power utilization since 2013, and the area we have had growth is an increase in sector inefficiency and an increase in revenue and collection inefficiency, and a sustained increase in tariff without a corresponding increase in operational inefficiency, and of course, poor governance structure. So these are many more issues we need to address that are quite fundamental and not giving us, making it difficult for us to achieve desired growth in the electricity sector.
Dr. Gali, from your perspective as maybe in terms of investments now, how do you think our electricity sector is faring when we look at all of the issues?
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, Nigerians. My name is Dr. Joy Ogaji, not Ogali. Please correct that before my in-laws disown me. I'm Ogaji. From an investment or an investor's perspective, as a GenCo or as a generating company, I want to state that what is currently happening in the sector is not an incentive for generating companies to generate more power for Nigerians. And if you ask me why, I will state the fact. From 2013, when the power sector was privatized, 6 companies were privatized under the generating PACN generating arm, and 11 distribution companies privatized. On the day of privatization, both parties signed what we call performance agreement. And the performance agreement contained KPIs, key performance indicators, which shows within 5 years what is expected of a distribution company, and within another 5 years what is expected of a generating company. It was like a marathon run by 2 runners, and they started on the same date. Now, today, as we speak, we're already in our 6th anniversary, meaning 6 years after privatization. One of the things that we need to know, and which Nigerians should also question the relevant agencies, is to show us what is the performance evaluation report for the distribution companies and also for the generating companies 5 years after their performance agreement. For the generating companies, I can tell you that power has increased, because that was one of the major KPI in their performance contract, that they should recover capacity. From 2013 till date, power has increased from 4,000 to about 8,000 available, ready for Nigerians to take. And they have an installed capacity, that is the machine capability, of 13,427 megawatts.
Okay.
The question Nigerians will want to ask, and I'm going to answer, is how much of that 8,000 ready to take power has been utilized over these 6 years? I will tell you that only an average of 3,500 megawatts has been utilized. And another question is, how much of that 3,500 megawatts is being paid monthly or daily? The discos have been able to pay between an average of
Dow,
25
Chairman,
to 30%.
House Committee on Power.
So
We hear he's just
essence,
joined us via telephone. If we can just quickly get your thoughts, Honourable Dow, thank you for talking to us at this time. We're talking about power, a very important thing for us in Nigeria, and it's many years after privatization, and people are wondering with regards to where we're headed for Nigerians. In your assessment as Chairman, House Committee on Power, what can you tell Nigerians about electricity?
Thank you, Channel, for inviting me. I wish Nigerians Happy New Year. There is so much abracadabra in the system. The much you see, the less you understand. I heard you saying that there were parameters put after 5 years to review. If you look at it, all these things were done in a hurry. So I don't think the 5 years has gone well in the 6 years. It's only we have only done 1 year. There should be much more political will from the part of the government on this kind of issues. So I believe, generally, I'll give them a fair percentage of doing a good job, because the government must drive the process. When you solve your entities and you want efficiency, and you say, okay, go and do A, B, C, D, and I will do DEF. And much has not been done. This is the honest truth.
Honourable, hold on a moment. We need to go on a break. We'll come back to continue this issues. We've been talking to our guests, Honourable Aliyu Dow, Chairman, House Committee on Power, via telephone, and also Mr. Kunle Olubio, President, Consumers Network, Power Consumers Network, that is, and indeed Dr. Joy Ogaji, Executive Secretary, Power Generations Association of Nigeria. Thank you so much for your patience. But I must also reassert, and this is excerpts from President Buhari's New Year message, where he really focused on power. He said that power has been a problem for a generation, and we know we need to pick up the pace of progress. He says we have solutions to help separate parts of the value chain to work better together. According to the president, in the past few months, we have engaged extensively with stakeholders to develop a series of comprehensive solutions, improve the reliability and availability of electricity across the country. He also goes forward to talk about the solutions, which include fiscal sustainability for the sector, increasing both government, private sector investments, power transmission, distribution segments, and maximizing service delivery. Essentially, I'll come to you, and that is Mr. Olubio. When you heard that coming from the president with regards to the efforts to put into that sector, are you convinced? Are you, does that put faith in you with regards to this administration's effort to seeing that we have electricity?
Well, thank you very much. I smiled when you did a rundown of the president's speech. You know that the president is the president of the country, and there are people we call the speech writer. And one of the things that the speech writer do is that they are professionally endowed to write speeches for governors and president, as it were. So what we are saying is that take for example, the Siemens agreement. I'm convinced that Dr. Joy Ogaji, and the generation company read the agreement between BP in quote and Siemens on the pages of newspapers. And same as the discos, most of the distribution companies read that agreement on the pages of newspaper. So the place of consultation need assessment, because you can't shave a man's head in his or absence. So what we are saying is that the Siemens package, which created what we call the political megawatts, you cannot sit down in an office and say 2020 from 5,000 megawatts, you want to move to 8,000 megawatts. From 8,000 in the next 2 years, you want to move to 20, 30,000. You don't pronounce or decree power generation, power allocation, power dispatch, and power utilization. There are a lot of dynamics involved, and we need to get the president rightly guided. But notwithstanding, we appreciate the passion and unquestionable commitment of Mr. President, which he has proven in other areas. So commitment to us is very important. But having said that, we are not expecting much of improvement, because over the last 6 years, all the emphasis from the downstream distribution subsector have been tariff.
Must quickly ask Dr. Ogaji, because we're running out of time. Dr. Ogaji, do you share those same sentiments as to no improvement, foreseeable improvement in the sector?
In terms of improvement, you know, for you to be able to have improvement, you need to put in place some plans, benchmarkable plans, not just policy statements or directives. There should be some benchmarkable plans with a firm M&E, I mean monitoring and evaluation, KPIs set for all the various agencies and the licensees and the market participants. Until we get to that, there will be no way of seeing improvement in the power sector. A situation where the monitoring and evaluation is only on the distribution and the generation companies, we will not see the needed improvement. This is because the power sector is a value chain. It is made up of all the players in the power sector. NEC also need to be monitored and evaluated. And to that extent, the extra, which is this book I'm carrying, made provision that on a quarterly basis, NEC should submit a report of its performance to the National Assembly and to the President.
Dr.
The
Gaji,
question we want to know is, those reports, have they been read, evaluated, and based on that, NEC be monitored?
it's definitely an issue we will come back to talking about. Wish we had all the time in the world to really talk extensively, but I'd really like to thank you, Mr. Kunle Olubio and Dr. Joy Ogaji, for your thoughts, and Honorable Aliyu Dao, whom we lost, who joined us via telephone, Chairman House Committee on Power. Thank you very much for your time.